Hello, I'm Gepwin, and this is a little thing I call Gepwin Say. If you're unfamiliar with it, I've done a couple episodes, so I wouldn't blame you if you're unfamiliar with it. It's just some place that I can talk about something I've been thinking about recently. And today I'd like to talk about something that's come up a few times on other channels. I've seen other people's opinions on it. This is Hearthstone a pay-to-win game? If you're not familiar with it, Hearthstone is Blizzard's new collectible card game. And one of the aspects of a collectible card game is you can buy the cards for real money. You don't get to pick which cards, you buy randomized card packs. But the real question is, by spending money in the game, can you win? So let's start out with that. Let's define our term. So what does pay to win mean? So pay to win in my eyes means that people who pay money to the game company, stand a better chance of winning than someone who did not. And that would carry on to mean that people who spend more money on the game have an even better chance of winning. So basically, it's just a strict linear progression. More money you put in, better chance you have to win the game. And that would mean that if you want to stay competitive in the game, you have to spend at least as much money as the person who spent the most money in the game. Alright, so let's look at that from some different angles, because this is actually a more complicated question than it sounds like. So to start off, I did some math, because math is the key to everything. So what I've heard most people quote to get the majority of cards in the game, they spent somewhere between $50 and $70, which is about the price of a normal AAA title. So really not that excessive when you're talking about a video game. So looking at what you can actually buy in the store, let's say, for the sake of this argument, that you spent enough to get 55 packs. That's about $70 of real money. Now, each individual pack costs 100 gold. So this is a very easy conversion. If you wanted to not spend any real money and use only the in-game currency, which is completely possible, you would spend 5,500 gold. So that's pretty easy. 100 gold per pack, 55 packs. Okay, so how do you get gold in the game? This is the real key to the thing. So while you do get game every 3 times you win, in ranked and online play, not against your friends, you can't farm the gold easily that way. So every 3 times you win, you get 10 gold, which is barely a drop in the bucket. You would have to win 30 times in order to get 1 pack. So that's not really a great way to grind the gold. The real thing that you want to do is do the daily quests. So every day you sign into the game, you get a randomized quest, and these usually pay between 40 and 60 gold. So let's do a quick and dirty average and call that 50 gold per day. Now, also, 90% of the daily quests involve winning 3 games, and most of them, the other ones involve winning 5 games or killing a certain number, doing amount of damage that will probably result in you winning 3 games by the time you finished it. So let's just add 10 to that, and say you get 60 gold a day if you do the daily challenges. So if you do 60 gold a day, to get to our 5,500 gold that we said we needed to unlock a reasonable amount of cards to make all the decks that you would want, that means you would have to play for 91 days, or about 3 months. So let's say you don't agree with the 60 number and you think you make more gold than that a day. So even if you were making 100 gold a day, so you were making enough to buy 1 card pack every day, you'd still be playing for 55 days, which is, a little under 2 months. So call that about 2 months. Now that is a lot of time to spend grinding in a game just to get up to competitive level. So really it's kind of a matter of what is your time worth to you. Because playing the game for that amount of time is a form of payment. Think of it as like a job. You are spending time playing the game to earn the in-game gold, which prevents you from spending the money you would have spent. If you are earning the 100 gold a day, that's getting paid about $2 a day. Depending on how much time you're spending with the games, that takes you about 15 minutes. That's not too bad. You're getting paid $2 in 15 minutes. That is, quick and dirty calculations, like $7-8 an hour. So not too bad. No, not great, but it's not too bad for playing a video game. If it takes you longer than that, it's more. And this is the crux of my little problem with the thing. So, next bit. This is all the math. This is how long you'd have to play the game in order to get up to a level where you have all the cards. So next, does having all of those cards make a difference? I think it really does, because I have chosen not to spend money on Hearthstone. And through that choice, I have found myself hitting a paywall, or what I consider to be a paywall, around level, rank 20 and rank 19, somewhere around there. That's where I'm stuck in the current ladder. No matter how much I play, I always, get up to around 19, I increase my level a little bit, and then I get immediately smashed back down to 20, and just kind of bounces back and forth in there. So I can hear you saying, especially if you've watched some of my videos, but you're not that good a player. And this is true. I am not the best Hearthstone player. I somehow consider that I should be better than the current rank I'm at, just with the current feeling I have about my skill level, but you're right. I'm not the best player. I'm not the worst player either. But the reason that I consider it more of a paywall than a skill wall is because rank 20 and below, you see more or less the basic set of cards. You see a few things that you may not have, but you're really just fighting against the same cards most of the time. Rank 19 and above is when you start seeing the legendary cards. The legendary and rare cards really start coming into play rank 19 and above. Now, this strict cutoff would really imply to me that if you want to be able to progress forward, you need some of the rarer legendary cards. Now yes, I've seen people talking about it. The legendary cards are very well balanced. They themselves will not win you a game. Anybody who's watched the Total Biscuit Legendary series knows that having a ton of legendaries in your deck will not win you a game, but they can be the key to a good many deck strategies, because the legendary cards have such specific uses. In constructed play, you can construct a deck around using your legendaries that is incredibly powerful and well thought out. This is something that is much more difficult to do using the non-legendary cards, because they are much more general cards. They have less of a specific use case than the legendaries do, so you can't really pull off as many interesting and varied combos with your non-legendary cards. So this is what it boils down to. Having those rare legendary cards makes you better at the game. Which means that people who buy those cards through the pack system, you buy a bunch of packs, and even if you don't get legendaries, you can disenchant your spare cards or all your cards and get the legendaries. So that means that the people who spent money do have an advantage. For a point. You see, this is the thing about this game that makes it so difficult. So, the people who spent money do have an advantage. They have more cards. But they only have an advantage in the fact that they got all the cards first. Anyone who's not spending money or spending less money can still get the cards through normal play. And once they have the same number of cards, everyone's on even footing. So it's a very weird structure, and it kind of gets around the entire pay-to-win argument, because while you can pay to win for some amount of time, there's a cap on it. Once you have all the cards, there's nothing more you can do except improve your skill. Spending more money won't help you. So I would say that it is more of a pay to enter than a pay to win. While you can get up to the higher tiers strictly through grinding, paying money is really the only reliable way to get up to those tiers. So if you want to play a very competitive Hearthstone game, you either have to spend a huge amount of time playing and grinding gold, or you need to spend some real money. And I will end with the counter to the common argument I've heard. I have heard this cannot be a pay-to-win game, because all of the stuff is available for in-game currency. This is not true. This is never true. There are plenty of pay-to-win games where every piece of equipment and everything is available for in-game currency, and here is why. Because to get the in-game currency in Hearthstone and in many other games of this type, you have to win. So you get a catch-22 scenario. If you cannot win, you cannot get the gold that you need to improve in order to win. So you see where I'm going with this. So final thoughts on Hearthstone. I would call it more of a pay-to-enter game. It's a pay-to-rank-up game. But once you have paid a certain amount, it is no longer a pay-to-win game. And since that amount that you pay is really around the same that you'd be paying for a AAA game, I don't consider it too unfair. Would I pay $70 for Hearthstone? No. Would other people? Yes, that's their choice. If they want to be more competitive than me in the ladder, that's fine with me. I play it enough, eventually I'll get to that point, and it's not that important to me to reach it quickly, so I'm not going to spend as much money as someone who is interested in that. And I consider that pretty fair, so well done, Blizzard. Don't riddle the game with microtransactions in the future, please. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Gepwin. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it, so leave it in the comments. We'll start a nice little discussion about this. Or you can just be mad at me in the comments. I'm okay with either. But either way, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you coming by to listen, and I will see you soon.